It's the one where Kramer gets the menus faxed.
Oh, that
Yep.
one?
Yep. And she has to change it because of Gammy. And the fire department. Is that T-Bone?
Where he goes to Ohio?
No. T-Bone is the maid. It's a big week in sports. In case you've heard, there's a big game going on in Arizona, but there is a gigantic round of golf 4 times over happening in Phoenix with the Waste Management. So we welcome you in. It's another edition of Putting for Dough. That's Ben Rasa. He's on fire right now. We had to sit in separate studios, as hot as this man is, and it's top of the board, mid-range board. We'll talk a little bit more the following week in depth because due to rain and suspension of play, the whole thing at the AT&T Pro-Am, Ben, got pushed into Monday. That's when we normally have our first look show here, Putting for Dough, on the following week. So we're kind of straddling still the AT&T and the Waste Management, where, again, like, things happen, especially in the world of golf. Justin Rose looking pretty good. Couple of top 20s looking pretty good. Not bad.
Not bad at all. I hope Rose closes. Was on the card for us last week. The guy that I really liked was Denny McCarthy, and he gave it everything and then some. An incredible, Sunday, Monday round from him. Just was a little too far behind, realistically, it looks like. But I'd be happy. We got some momentum going right now, and it couldn't be better timing because the Waste Management, to me, is the kind of the kickoff of legit top end golf. This is a big time tournament. I saw, I believe, 23 of the top 24 are here ready to go. It is a stacked and loaded field.
All right, let's look at everything we have coming up. We'll remind you all out there, if you're brand new to the OddsShopper channel, the PGA OddsShopper channel, right? We want you to hit the thumbs up button to subscribe. We want you part of what's going on here. We do this each and every week, Monday to start the week, to look ahead at the following tournament. And, if there's an opportunity, of course, for a majors or what have you there. Now, with that said, let's look at the overall approach here, because you're right. There's no more Pro-Am. There's no more 3 courses in 3 days, 54-hole cut. You don't have Larry the Cable Guy or Ray Romano or Aaron Rodgers talking your ear off, right? Like, none of that shit is going on here. We know that for whatever reason, shorter hitters, if it's the altitude, if it's where you're playing, like, shorter hitters can hit a little bit longer off the tee. That's not going to penalize you by any means. Scrambling seems to be pretty big here, and just avoiding all these hazards. So you've got a big picture bet, I'm sure, when you look at every year with the Waste Management. And then you also, as you mentioned, have in the backdrop a ton of guys at the top.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are major win equity guys up top. We'll get to the field in a bit. We're going to talk about some big things going.
We have to talk about DK too.
We'll get there. There's a couple of big announcements. I don't think we forgot about him here. We were just going over possibly. I told you before the show, we're mentioning Pebble. I know it's not completed, but if I have a chance to put an outright on the board, I wanted to mention it. And then the last thing I want to say about Waste Management before we talk more things in the industry. I love courses that have a drivable par 4. I say it every time. I'm a broken record. I love that. Risk reward par 4s are one of the most underrated things in golf. And TPC Scottsdale has a great one, a 17th hole. I can't wait to see that. And I can't wait to see this field try to take apart this course.
Yeah, one short of a par 5 is a swap out of an extra par 4. Not to say that is the par 4 that they're swapping out, but to your point, you have a drivable par 4. You have another par 4 instead of an extra 5 or typical 5. So there's opportunity. There's a lot of scoring opportunity. And you mentioned the term here, which is risk reward. Now, I could transition easily right into what we're doing here with DraftKings, because there's no risk and all reward with taking advantage of this opportunity. Now, I mean, there are a couple of different scenarios that can fit the bill here. Take 90 seconds out of your life and sign up. You have to be 21 or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And you have to live in a state, of course, where you can legally place a wager. But maybe you're new, or your state is new. Maybe there's somebody in your house. Look at that, Smock. You can trust that smile every day. It's going to take you 90 seconds to sign up, bet $5 on anything. Now, you can take that $5, and if you're watching on Monday, bet the Houston Rockets, right, to win outright. Or you can bet Texas UT Arlington to win outright at home against Tarleton State, the great Tarleton State, fill in the blanks, right? Who are they? Mustangs?
Texans, I think.
Texans. All right. It doesn't matter. Like, you can take the $5 and put it on Rory McIlroy to win this year's Masters. You just have to place the wager. As soon as you physically place the wager, no matter what you're betting on, that $5 will turn right into $200. And I know there's somebody stubborn in your life. There's somebody in your household. There's somebody at your job. There's somebody in your commute. There's somebody where you get your hair cut. Man, I ain't going on that DraftKings. Well, tell them and show them now that it's so simple to sign them up and get that $200 right back. All right. Now, Waste Management. I'm excited here because
hold on.
Oh, we have more announcements.
I want to do the next announcement because you always get all the accolades. You get to push the great offer. We got big news here. You'll see it on the bottom of the screen, of course. We are so happy about OddsShopper. It's our YouTube channel. It's grown immensely because of you guys. Got a ton there. But you know what? Golf. I love golf. We started our own YouTube, OddsShopper Golf YouTube. It's where you're going to be watching this stuff. You want to head over there. Of course, you're not subscribed because it's a brand new channel. Come join us. And this is just only golf, all things PGA, maybe some Euro show, whatever we got. It's going to be there for OddsShopper Golf. So if you love golf, if you like betting golf, you want to be part of a community that we are building on the ground floor right now, head over, join the extension of the OddsShopper family on OddsShopper Golf YouTube. You can find it. And that's where you're going to be seeing putting for dough going forward.
Love this, man. Total dedication to the world of golf. We see it every week, right? Every week a new report comes out about golf being the fastest growing sport that people are betting or taking in more money than even everything outside the NFL, right, during stretches. And it only ramps up the more and more the field does, especially closer to majors. So this is awesome. We have an entire channel that is fully dedicated to this game, this beautiful, frustrating, and everything in between type game. All right, top of the board, Waste Management. We look at the course first and then kind of blend in, right, to how we see the top tier here. But look, I think for me, and you can get deeper as we always do, Ben, I think the two things outside of Sahith and Cantlay, for the majority, familiarity helps. Playing this event at this course before helps. And you don't have to be Hideki Matsuyama by any means to be a repeat winner, but it seems like guys who have played this event in the past successfully have come back and been able to make cuts, have been able to finish top 20. And some of it, Ben, I'm sure, is the familiarity with the course, but a lot of it is the element, right? We talked about the Pro-Am and match play and different grinds on you. This is as close to like Happy Gilmore as it gets, right? Hundreds of thousands of people in the grandstands yelling and screaming, and not everybody is built for something like that.
No, definitely not. It's an experience. I do think in general, of course, 16 gets it's one hole.
One hole for sure.
You know, and it's
back
great,
end, but still one hole.
But still one hole. I mean, I do think it gets a ton of coverage, as it should. You got to play good golf. The number one thing that stands out here, and it kind of leads us right into the top tier, big time names win this tournament. There's a lot of them, but you don't really see too many guys where it's like, oh, first career win. And where is it? It's at, Waste Management. Nah, it's usually a top end guy. Scotty Scheffler's winning this tournament. Big time names. Webb, Ricky when he was really in form. Gary Woodland's a winner in the last 5 years. Obviously, Decky's dominated. You rarely see that guy from the cloud. So when we look at this, of course, we've got Rahm and Rory. I'm going to get right to it. I don't have them on the card. I think they're the two clear favorites.
Yep.
I'm going to look to the next tier, though. You've got Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay. These guys are double the odds, 16-1, 18-1 versus 6 and 8-1 for Rory and Rahm. I'd rather go to those guys. I can get both of them on the card and have a nice 1-2 combo if we can survive what is going to be a very, very tough ask, because Rahm and Rory are both playing like the best players in the world.
9 of the last 10 years, the winner has been between 10 to 1 and 50 to 1.
So I'm saying.
And this year, though, to your point, John Rahm is significantly watered down because he is on an absolute freaking monster tear outside of Torrey, right? Like, I mean, what John Rahm has put together is like the regular season version of like what we saw with Tiger. I mean, he just dominated for a stretch and nobody was even close to him, and he was coming back and stuff. And then there's also the ability, and this is just my opinion, I think there's the ability, we haven't seen Rory, right? So you still have this lure of betting on Rory, the idea of betting on a top favorite in the world and ranked as rightfully so, Ben. So I think you can get away with these guys having watered down odds to where their true odds probably should be 10 to 1, if not a little bit higher. So that fits 10 to 1 to 50 to 1. Kevin Stadler, right? The only guy who pops, right? And that's it. That's 2014. But everybody that you mentioned, Fowler was 22 to 1 when he won that year. Webb was 14 to 1 when he won that year. Even Koepka was 50 to 1, right? So I think you're looking in the right spot here with JT and Cantlay, especially because Cantlay comes in his first time and there's no issue, no problem whatsoever. The only guy that I would add here to this from a play standpoint would be, and I want to throw two names out at you before we get out and move to the other spot, would be Tony Finau. 25 to 1. Little tear that we've seen for him over this past year. This is an environment that I think he likes, that I think he welcomes, that I think he can thrive on. It's not just the crowd and the grandstands, Ben, but it's also the field as well. So I think at 25 to 1, Tony Finau jumped out at me with some value.
So a couple different things I want to get to real quick. One, we haven't seen Rory here, but Rory is coming off a win himself. He won in Europe last week, so he's ready to roll too.
PGA, I meant. Sorry.
PGA, absolutely. I just wanted to clarify for people that maybe not paying attention to Europe. He's in form. There's no doubt about it. Tony Finau's fascinating because I think this is a pretty good setup for him, honestly. I think that the environment suits kind of Tony Finau's game. And he had a runner-up finish in 2020 here, which is great. And that is sandwiched between 5 missed cuts at this event. He has struggled immensely at this course for whatever reason, and I'm not overly deterred by it. But at the same point, I can't say that Tony Finau has thrived here because that's simply inaccurate. He's shown he can do it, runner-up finish. 5 missed cuts at a smaller field where he should not be missing the cut ever.
I get that. I think the difference is recent play. Like he wasn't on in 4 of those 5, probably 5, but at least 4 of those 5 missed cuts. He wasn't experiencing the same run that he did, right?
No. But I think we would both acknowledge, though, I'm not saying win the tournament. Tony Finau should make the cut even without his best stuff.
No, I understand. Look, 2 names that I want to throw out. One, I think works for a one and done because I don't know if you're going to use Max Homa. And you have the one and done video that's going to come up here. So this is a nice little tease here. And if you have Homa for whatever reason this week, then just make like one of these, baseball sign things and I'll move on here. But I thought Homa would be interesting from a one and done standpoint. I get that his value is soured a little bit because of his win too, technically, that we've seen so far, but he's played this course in this event really well over 3 straight years. And you're talking about someone in that 16 to 1 range. The other guy that I wanted to throw at you to get your thoughts on, that's not on the card, but look, Matsuyama is back to an extent, and he has been a multiple winner here. We saw him play well last couple of weeks, and that was a concern health-wise. I just wonder if he's too public of a bet because of his success here.
So I have no problem with either name. Max Homa, I think, is actually interesting, more so in things like one and done, and if you are a DFS player, because I think everyone says, Max Homa, he just won California. That was his time. I'm going to take a breather from him. And he's shown he can come right here to Phoenix and get it done. Decky is tricky only in the sense that he did show flashes at Farmers, came in 9th, gained 6 strokes putting though.
Yeah.
That really helps when you do that. Now he dominates at this course. You mentioned Decky in this course, they're hand in hand. He came second, first, and first over a 3-year span. That's pretty damn good. He is surgical with his irons here, and I don't see that changing. I'm kind of indifferent. You can't play them all. You're going to leave elite players off your card this week. Why? Because there's 20 elite players in the field.
Yeah, and I wanted to get thoughts on those two names. I thought they'd be publicly talked about. Now, for SEO purposes, we can say that we talked about them.
Look at that.
Pay off the
company
team.
Man.
See, I'm here for you, man.
28 to 1 on Decky is not a bad price at all. But again, then you're not going to probably get to Morikawa, to Fitzy, to Hovland. You can't play them all.
Yeah, I'm okay with Matsuyama over Morikawa. I know that he bounced back from the meltdown in Hawaii, but it's asking like a football team's defense to travel well with a shaky offense. Like, his irons are going to travel everywhere, but I don't know quite yet versus the course history. Let's look at the mid-range. And once again, technically Rose was in the mid-range.
Yeah.
You've been pretty good. So Denny McCarthy was a mid-range play for you last week. And we always ask you, if you're playing these outright, if you're going to get plus money on a top 20, you definitely should do that as well. That's our built-in ladder, with, if you will. So I'm curious to see where you go here, because we know 10 to 1 to 50 to 1, 9 of the last 10 years has paid out. It's going to be a stretch to go long. We still will. Where's your mid-range?
Yeah. So again, I think mid-range is always kind of the swing in certain weeks, where I think Pebble's a good example. I thought Win Equity was completely wide open. I thought my mid-range guys had a real good chance, and not just in hindsight, but actually to win the tournament. Here, I'm not saying these guys have no chance, but it's going to be a tall task. These are better top 10 and top 20 bets. And I'm actually going to 2 Euros to get us started. And it's 2 of my very, very guilty pleasures. We got Ty Hatton sitting, in that 50 to 60 to 1 range. We've got Tommy Fleetwood sitting in that 60 to 1 range. And these are just guys that I think fit the course. They can get it going, do a little bit of everything. You don't need to be overly long here. I think API has some correlation, and Hatton's absolutely torn that apart. It's just like an overall test of golf. And then Fleetwood, when we saw him bits and pieces, he was 4th at CJ Cup. He had a good stretch to end his PGA Tour season in 2022. I have really no issues with kind of his course fit here, and they're names that are not going to be super prevalent just because of the strength of this field. These guys are pretty appealing prices, and we know they can get in the mix.
It's, Hatton is going to be.
I love Hatton.
Exactly right. Hatton is going to be your conversation to have with your own divinity, whoever it is, whatever it is that you pray to each and every week. I get that. Hatton is going to be your devil or your angel, because when he hits, it's going to be lovely. Fleetwood is interesting though, and I do like your approach. 60 to 1 is a little surprising. So I wonder how much of it is just that, where maybe his true number should be closer to that 5 to 1 or even less. There is going to be something that pushes him out like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if by Wednesday we're talking about Tommy Fleetwood at 50 to 1 or 52 to 1 catching some steam here.
Yeah, I mean, I think with a course like this that's super prevalent, everybody's got course history, and a lot of guys have really good course history. When you have a guy who doesn't, he tends to get lost. And I think Fleetwood fits that for obvious reasons, and Hatton to a lesser extent. He was 15th in 2019, hasn't played the last couple years here. I don't think that that's a huge detriment to experienced players, particularly Euros. They see all sorts of shit in Europe. They got all sorts of layouts, conditions. They're not going to be fazed by anything. And I think these guys have shown they can play anywhere. If the form clicks, they're in the mix. If not, a couple mid-range plays, nothing too crazy.
Talked about being new here and just your first time, second time taking on the whole event and the environment, but really the course and getting to know the course. I think this is worth a shot at 50 to 1, because maybe it is the unfamiliarity. Maybe it is the newness, if you will, for both he on tour and playing at the Waste Management. But Taylor Montgomery at 50 to 1 jumped out at me as a nice risk. And I see Chris, our producer, does such a great job of knowing when exactly to go back to your face, because I see you cracking a little bit of a Nah, this is Joel Dahman working all over for you.
No, I just I don't know. Taylor Montgomery is a real difficult evaluation for me. Now, I
Yeah, there's
think
not much to evaluate.
so. I think the biggest, this sounds counterintuitive. I think the biggest positive for him is he lost strokes putting at Farmers and he came in 31st. That's a miracle. This is a guy who is the best putter in the world. That is not up for debate. And he lost strokes putting with the club he leans on immensely at a long course, and he made the cut at Farmers. That's a big step for him. Now, his irons, you can't be losing consistently a couple strokes on the approach and expect to get around TPC Scotts. It's just not going to happen. So he's going to have to fix that. I would rather play the guys that I mentioned or Thigala in the same range if I was going to take kind of a young gun to do it. We saw Thigala here, but Taylor Montgomery has a club that can keep him in the mix anywhere he goes.
And that's what you're doing is you're playing Thigala last year ahead of time, like you would Montgomery this year ahead of time, with the expectation that if his putter gets hot and he can scramble. A lot of the guys love the fact that you have that thicker rough, right? Because there's so many hazards off the fairway that it slows the ball down. Like you'd rather be hitting at a 2-inch rough than you would be hitting out of a hazard. So I think there are ways around it where if Montgomery can scramble, his putter should be able to score. Still, like you should be able to score off of that. And look, it's a risk. The other guy I just wanted to mention real quick from a mid-range standpoint, Ben, and I'm playing off course history. I'm looking at a guy in the field right now who's top 10 in this event as far as when he's played it. Enough, by the way, to make multiple top 10s over the last 5 years. One of, I think, 13 or 14 guys in this group. And looking at the odds for Matt Kuchar at 65-1, again, you're playing familiarity. You're playing a guy who has struggled and will deal with that at 65-1 in this gigantic field. But Ben knows the place, knows the environment, has played well here, and is probably getting a little bit of a benefit when you look at how top heavy this field is, because I don't know how many people are going to bet Matt Kuchar at 50-1.
Yeah, certainly not me. Kuchar is one of those guys to me. And listen, maybe there is a resurgence. Justin Rose is pretty close to hoisting a trophy as we film this. His course history, I don't know if it's relevant anymore because you have to ask yourself, is he the same player? He has not had a good result here in the last couple years. Right. He did not look good at Pebble. We have to see. Now, can he find it for 72 holes? All these guys have proven they can do it. It's just a question of where's Matt Kuchar on a macro level in 2023?
I think to your point, if he played better at Pebble and just played a little bit like Matt Kuchar at his best with this course history, throw that away. But Matt Kuchar playing a little bit better this year, 55-1, 60-1. Or you still think he's 65-1?
I mean, I think it's hard to conceptually quantify. Like when you're talking about edges like that, you know, the break-even point on those, you're moving the percentage up like slightly. You know, it's hard to arbitrarily know. I just look, and if Matt Kuchar beats me, I have to deal with it because there's just no way in a field this loaded that I can get to him.
65-1. There's the trade-off by all.
Aaron Wise. Aaron Wise over him this week.
No
Same
way.
number.
Aaron Wise has been MIA. All right, we have a couple of long shots here. All right. By the way, that stoppage on Saturday absolutely destroyed Kevin Kisner. That man was on an absolute tear. Okay, top 20 was in his grasp, and they had to stop the damn play. It should have seen right out of Caddyshack where the priest should have kept going. All right, we have a couple of long range here for you, but Ben mentioned we have a bunch of stuff happening from the new OddsShopper golf channel, which you're watching here. Thumbs up, subscribe. You know what we're doing with DK. How about joining our Discord? Discord is on fire. We want to give you an opportunity to jump in half off your first week. So you get half off and you can just dabble around. Lofty, Lindquist, Rasa, Ehrenberg, Shander. Isaiah on the written site is there. Narco Cop MMA is in the house. Gajeski, as you know, from college stuff like Ben is up there. So we have a stacked crew. And, you know, just to give you a little example here yesterday, Ben Rasa throws out Houston, laying 10.5. What happens? Houston down by 4 to Temple at the half. perfect opportunity. Ben did the homework. I'm just watching this game because it's Temple to know to jump in live, give that out there. If you were on the Discord, your first week half off, you got to hit Houston over Temple 2 times over from 2 different people. So we got you. All right. Jump in, sign up. There's a link below, half off your first week. It's working. That's all. We have a lot of cool things we're doing here. That's one of them.
Well said. I'm very, very excited for this week in there just because this golf tournament is prime for live betting. And that is a feature of it. I'll get this out of the way real quick. We've talked about it. I think the winner is going to come from the top echelon, but there are a few numbers that I think are just simply ridiculous. One, I just don't understand that Chris Kirk, who's been playing some good golf, he's experienced, he's 180 to 1. To me, that's just a little much. Chris Kirk has come in 3rd at Sony and 3rd at Amex. He gained 4 or more strokes on the approach both times. He gained 2 or more strokes putting both times. He's got experience at this course, and he's a veteran on the PGA Tour. Do I think he can go up against Rahm and Rory and Xander and all those guys and win? Probably not. 180 to 1, though? I mean, come on. Top 20, even a top 40 when they're released. This is the type of guy I think he makes the cut and puts together a nice 4 days for you. So he has some value for me. And Lucas Hebert is just a project of mine. I think this guy's an uber talented player. He's over here now. He's in that same range. He was 7th at API, which I did comp. That's how I got to Hatton. Just kind of a gut feel play. I'll probably ladder him. Realistically, to win the tournament, I think would be more than a far-fetched dream.
Yeah, and I get that. I think in this case, when we look at guys in this range, knowing how unkind 9 of the last 10 years have been for these guys at these numbers, it's about identifying the ladder play as well. Both of these guys are going to be good plus money at top 40, let alone what you're going to get at top 20, which is going to be fantastic. And there's a shot, I think, with both of these guys, you lay out a legit shot that they can make the cut and hang in a top field, top 20, be there and, top 30 heading into the final day, or top 12 and hang on into the final day. And you're not expecting a victory by any means. And we've talked about my guy, and I'll leave you with this, he's $130 to 1. Things are changing depending on, where you can get him. But Brendan Steele is somebody who comes off that top 20 at Torrey, and he's had success in certain spots. And again, in this field, with this event, he's got course history, and it may not have to be lining up with what he's done or lack thereof, like we talked about with Kuchar. I need to find somebody here that's 130, 150, 160, 180 to 1 who has been there before in this event, who can find something to make a cut. And Brendan Steele is an ask, and I get it. Like, you're not going to get that performance like we got at Torrey each and every time. But here, with this huge field, making the cut plus money at top 40, I'll take a shot.
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Steele's a perfect example of why course history can be misleading both ways. He had a 7-year stretch, 5th, 6th, 6th, 26th, 17th, 16th, and 3rd. My God, that's fantastic. Then miscut, 30th, miscut. That's just kind of the nature of the beast with a guy like this. But he drives the ball well. You mentioned the form's pretty good. Certainly got the experience. At Phoenix, he needs to flip his putter. It's pretty clear what the problem is.
Yep.
He's gaining strokes tee to green in 4 straight, and with 4 straight, he's lost around the green, and 3 straight, he's lost with the putter. Got to sink your putts. If he does that, he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I wonder if he can scramble his way out of some areas there and avoid, some of these longer putts. But you're right. Anything that's even lag right now with him is a concern.
Tee to green's been great, though. Like, tee to green, he jumps off the page. There's no doubt, but he can't scramble to save his life right now.
That's what you need, and I get it. And that's why you have a guy at one, because if he figures that one thing out, you never know. Maybe you're looking at a ladder, top 40, top 20. All right, final card. We do this on the way out. Again, this is early in the week. In fact, this other tournament, by the way, your guy looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, Rose is getting it done here. This is quite useful.
Looks pretty good. I'm dealing with multiple sweats, by the way. I have Justin Rose because I tailed you last week, and apparently my 20-month-old son bit into a coffee pod. So my wife and mom are going back and forth right now on whether or not, we should take him. Chris, our producer, has multiple children and is laughing at me like, Come
Yeah,
on.
I
talk
wouldn't
me
be the
when you
person to
remember.
ask. I don't even know what that is.
Trust me, I'm not asking you. I'm
Good.
bringing you up to date. The day that I ask you for parenting advice, Ben.
No. Yeah, that's the day social services knocks at your door. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I would not be the answer there. But
You'd be
on the
calling
flip
social
side,
Yes.
I can give you the winners in the golf. So
Let's
that's all
do it.
that really matters for
You're
this
right.
show.
You're right. Which is more important, by the way, than parenting advice.
I'm
I'd
sure we'll
rather
have
you-
the way we're growing, OddsShopper parenting, YouTube, not that far
Let's
away.
do it.
We are building channels on channels here. I think the winner is going to come, like most people, from the top. There's too many elite golfers. Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay, they've got the games. They've got the short games. They've obviously got the ability to close. They can go up against the best in the world and Rahm and Rory and take it down. I think that's my 1-2 combo. And then I look for the ladders with the Chris Kirks, that Ty Hattons, even Fleetwood to an extent. Maybe they hit that first page of the leaderboard. I'll look for some head-to-heads when tee time come out. But for me, 1-2 punch, Justin Thomas, Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, I'm with you on that mentality, man. By all means, I think I'm going to look at Finau at the top here, knowing that I can most likely get him at plus money, even if it's around even money, hovering for a top 20. So he's involved. Talked about Homa as a one and done option for me. And then it's just about laddering guys like Montgomery and Kuchar. I'll take a shot. I'm going to play top 40 Steele because I don't necessarily think I have to force a top 20 with him. I think if he makes the cut, this is an opportunity for him to finish top 40. I'm willing to take that risk. But yeah, I mean, it's the latter element, right? It's Finau to win and top 20. It's Montgomery, top 40, top 20, and to win. It's Kuchar, top 40, top 20 to win. Probably stay off Kuchar to win. More so top 40, maybe top 20, probably just top 40 if I can get a plus money. The more I think about that.
Fair enough. Again, the last thing I'll say, and it just is another reason to get involved here at OddsShopper Golf and in our Discord. Guys like Kuchar, unless you think he starts out just on fire, say he has a PM tee time to start, just wait, bet him live. You'll get a better number. If he starts slow, you can reevaluate. And if he completely crumbles, you avoid having that on your card. I think not everything has to be done before the tournament.
Well, we're doing a show, so I kind of have to put a name down ahead of time, Ben.
All right, fine. Put it in Sharpie then. Go ahead.
I like it, though. It's smart.
Doing a show.
Look, it just worked for us with Houston. So I
can't argue. You give a whole story about you hit Houston live. Then I suggested I smashed the 10 commandments. Give me a break, Matt Kuchar.
I got to go check on my kid. All right.
Yeah, please.
TFS, that's Shander Show. Thanks to you. Thanks to Chris for producing. Again, brand new channel is here. The OddsShopper PGA channel, the golf channel here, the OddsShopper golf channel. Thumbs up, subscribe. It's new, but it's the same, right? It's just like Elaine who changed her phone number. It's new, but it's the same, or it's different, but it's the same. We're still under OddsShopper, all right? It's just the OddsShopper golf channel. So I had to get a Seinfeld reference in for Ben.
Appreciate that.